Hello, my beautiful people. It's your girl, Tina Marie J. I hope you guys are having a nice weekend. I hope you're enjoying the beginning of your 2021. I'm definitely enjoying mine. I'm forcing myself to enjoy it this year. So this video is going to be a little bit different. First off, if you do enjoy the video, please do give me a thumbs up. I would definitely appreciate that. Also, don't be afraid to leave a comment or a question down below in the box. As long as you keep it respectful, it's all cool. So for this video, I really want to talk about something a little bit different. I want to go into talking about relationships. So this is one of my favorite topics. I love talking about relationships, love, soulmates. Like, I live for those conversations. When I was young, like maybe like 15, 16 to 17, I used to read Teen Magazine and 17 Magazine. And the first section I always looked at was the love section. I always loved to read what they had to say about love. I was about to say I always watch love movies, but I did. I also did love watching movies where, people just like the whole I found the one thing, you know what I'm saying? So, like, that's just something I'm real passionate about. So, with that being said, um for this video, I want to talk about how my views have changed since I left religion on marriage. So I've been married for 11 years now, and I've talked about it in this channel, but I haven't done any updates as of yet. But like, I have a situation going on in my marriage right now, and so it's like declined, you know. Um, so basically, what I'm saying is that it's not working out. In case you understand what I mean when I say declined, and it does. People can assume a lot of things. People can assume it's because I left the church I was in. The church I was in was a cult. They believe that if you leave, then you're actually living wrong and living in sin. It was a Christian church, and so people will believe that it's because of that. Other people will believe it's because I'm no longer a part of religion, but my husband's also no longer a part of religion. But we still don't work out. So basically, I just want to kind of get into exactly how my views have changed. So let's just go back, rewind it back to when I was younger, up to recently. I'd say about maybe like 3 years ago. So I grew up believing that you had to wait till marriage to have sex, even though I didn't, obviously, because I had 2 kids before I got married. But I grew up believing in that. I grew up believing that whoever you marry is a man God has for you, and divorce is a sin, and you're not supposed to get a divorce because you can go to hell, and you could disappoint and anger God, and no matter what, you have to stick it out. That was how I grew up. Like, I went to church all the time, so that was what I knew. So I never thought to myself, one day when I grow up, I'm gonna get married and I'm gonna have a divorce too. Like, I never thought about that. But I grew up believing in this. And so when I was a part of Christianity, it's been about 4 years now, I believe, since I've left. 3.5 to 4. No, I know it's been like 4 years. It's been 4 years since I've left Christianity, and I'm a part of spirituality. I believe very highly in spirituality. It just makes a lot of sense to me, and I don't see it as a religion at all, in my personal opinion, because I see the difference between religions and spirituality. So when I was a Christian, when I was right before I got married, I did believe that I needed to get married. Like, I just didn't feel I can stay in this relationship unless I get married. So before me and my husband got married, we already had our kids by then. Our kids were little. And I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, we have to either get married or we're going to have to break it off and co-parent, because I want a commitment. And we've been together for 5 years, and it's about some time and blah, blah, blah. You know, that whole try to force him to marry you thing. Yeah, I did that. I'm going to be real with you. And I just thought I had to do that because at the time I was trying to get right with God, quote unquote. I put that in air quotes. I was trying to get right with God, and I was trying to do it the right way because I had already done so many things the wrong way, because I had kind of fell off of religion because I went through some experiences, fell off, and I was trying to like get myself back into it. So I was like, all right, we're gonna have to get married. So we ended up getting married. I got married when I was 23. We got married months later, and I was 23 and he was 24. And to me, that is young. At that time, I thought that that was totally normal. I was like, no, this is a perfect age. I'm in my early 20s. This is a time to settle down. I'm 35 now, and now I'm like, hell no, that is not how it works. That's not at all how it works. Because I didn't know who I was. You know, I knew who I was shaped to be growing up, but I didn't know who I really was. I also knew that I always like felt like I liked a sense of freedom. I've always rebelled in a sense where, not in like the worst way possible, but my mom was a little bit, I'm sorry, my allergies really acting up in my throat right now. My mom was, she was Christian. She still is. And the way she raised me is like she was really protective, but at the same time, like now I understand why, because I grew up in the Bronx. So I understand now, you know, because I was a kid, I was a girl, but she was very protective, and she was even very spiritually protective. Very no boys, no this, no that, and like even me saying a boy was cute, you know, that was like, no, you're not supposed to, and not supposed to. And so I had a really warped way of viewing love and affection when I was between two adults when I was a kid. I couldn't really differentiate the difference between what's okay and acceptable and what's not. So when I got married, the way I viewed it at that time was, this is it. You do this and there is no getting out. There is no turning back. This is it. This is what we do. And then the speed bumps, the the issues. We didn't live together before we got married. So I had moved in with him and his family, like literally the night that we got married. We left the wedding reception and went straight, and I had a small wedding, and which went straight to his family's house, because they have like a 3-story house, and we lived there for 5 years. And so before we finally moved out and got our own place. And so at the time I was in a cult when I was married. So literally as soon as I got married, that same summer I got married, me and my husband joined a cult, and he ended up getting baptized, and then I ended up following, getting baptized after him, even though I really didn't want to. But in during my time in that church, the church I was in, it was, I didn't really know how to be a wife. Like I don't know if I probably would have did better if I wasn't in church at all. I mean, I probably would have had a better chance at doing better. And the reason I say that is because the church I was in, the way they try to teach you how to be a wife and a woman, it didn't fit. So basically, we were having a lot of problems, and they were serious issues, and we were fighting a lot, and our kids were young. And I was in school. I was also working as like a home health aide, and he was laid off, and I was so freaking depressed. I ended up on medication, and I was told that I was on medication because I wasn't praying enough, and I wasn't doing enough quiet time, and my marriage wasn't working because of me, and because I don't know how to be a submissive wife. And they gave me tons and tons of freaking books I got rid of about women in the Bible and how I should be more like them, to teach me how to be a submissive wife so my marriage would be beautiful. And that was the thing, was that like religion just kind of covered up the truth, you know? You hide behind this veil, and you're like, oh, I'm this happy, wonderful Christian, and everything is great. Everything is great. Oh yeah, praise God, it's great. And inside you're not, you're like, hell no, this is terrible. Like, where is the rewind button so I could restart this? Because this isn't working out. This is not working out. And when you finally get to that realization where you're like, this does not work, that's when it hits you and you're like, wow, there's so many things I could have done differently if only I really followed my intuition. You know, so we all have intuition. And when we don't choose to follow it, or when we choose not to follow it, we end up seeing the consequences of not following it. It could be positive or negative, it doesn't matter, but it works either way, and it works 24/7 around the clock. That's just how it is. But anyway, I don't want to go off track, because let me talk about that, and I'll be all day. You guys will be listening to me. But so things weren't working out for me, and at that time, I thought, I have to make this work. I have to make this work. This has to work, because this is what God wants. And God gave me this man. But in my heart, I knew God didn't give me him. Me and him had a very, 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 very toxic 5 years together, because we met when I was 17. I was a freaking kid. I did not know who the hell I was. I did not know how to do anything. I didn't know how to do anything at all. I became an adult young, because I had kids when I started from 19. And then my next one I had at 23. So my life was very different, but I tried my best to make it work. And I would go to the women in the church, and I would try to explain how I feel. This is how I feel. This is really bugging me out. I don't know what to do. And they would just say, pray, 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 pray. Go to this, attend this workshop, go to this thing. I want you to start coming to this every Sunday, start coming to this every Monday, and don't forget every Friday. And I just was so overwhelmed between school and working, and taking care of my kids who were still young, and trying to take care of myself, but not really doing a great job at that. Being a wife, it was just a lot. I was like, this is too much. This is way too much for me. And that's why I was so depressed. Like, I was on medication. My medication was mainly for anxiety, because I used to get panic attacks like 3 to 4 times a day. It was really bad. It got really out of control. I'm surprised I even graduated. Like, I have an associate's degree, so it's nothing to brag about, but I got that. But it was mostly just something to prove to myself that I could do, and if I want to continue with it, I can, but I don't want to. But it was really hard to get that associate's, because I went through some stuff. Like, I got robbed on my way home. The guy threatened to shoot me. I didn't see the gun, but I wasn't trying to see it neither, so I just gave him my stuff. That was traumatizing, because that's never happened to me before. And it was just a lot of situations. I wasn't getting along with my in-laws. We were fighting all the time. I was feeling real iffy about the church I was in, but I knew I couldn't leave, because I felt, and I was taught in the church, that I had to follow wherever my husband goes. And that was the thing, is that I had my own thinking and my own emotions and my own dreams and all these different things I wanted to do. And I was always told, because of being a Christian, that I couldn't do it, because I'm supposed to focus on being a better wife instead. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm so gassy. So if I burp, please forgive me, but I cannot edit this out because I'm not using editing right now. But anyway, I'm not saying that that church represents every church is like that. That's not what I'm saying. Or that every Christian thinks like that. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that my thinking at that time was very different, because of religion, because of, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that. And I know that people say you're supposed to do it with your heart, but my heart wasn't in it, because truly in my heart, I didn't really think it made much sense that you should have to wait till you're married to do certain things. Like, you can't live with a person until you're married. I personally always thought it would make more sense to live with them, because then at least you kind of get the sense of knowing, do I even want to be with you? Because living with a person could tell you if you even want to be with them or not. They have a very different way of living. You start to see certain things, notice certain things. Then next thing you know, you guys are fighting all the time, and you realize, what, this isn't working, because we just are better off being friends. Because friends don't live together unless they're roommates, but there's no emotional connection. So that was one thing that I never believed, but I was forced to say I did, because I was a Christian. I was supposed to do the right thing. All right, now let's fast forward. I know I'm talking a lot. I tell you guys, I can go on and on. Fast forward to now, how I think. Now, I believe that marriage is an option. Not should be, actually is an option. I don't believe that everyone should get married. I don't believe that marriage is even for everyone. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that you don't want to get married. I really don't. Uh, Especially women, because women are automatically in society assumed to be expected to want to desire a marriage. Like we all just want that big ring. First of all, I don't like big flashy things because I don't like attention like that. I take a normal size from Zales and I'm good, thank you. You know, we're not all the same. So women are kind of like expected to want, and men are the one who are expected to not want. But there are men out there who want marriage and commitment, and then there are women who don't, you know? So I feel that we as men and women have the right to either want and not or not want it. And whoever you choose to be your partner, that person should be somebody who thinks on the same level as you when it comes to what you guys want in terms of if you want marriage or not. Another thing that I feel different about is uh, getting married and making it a legal thing. I personally don't really know the point of that. I mean, other than the fact that other than the fact that, you know, for benefits and stuff like that, it's good. But what if you don't want to do that? Like, what if you just don't want the government involved? Because then, if that happens, a lot of other legal matters come into effect. Like, if you decide to get a divorce, you better open up that wallet. You know, if you guys have a whole bunch of stuff, you know, investments, you have a home, you have all these different things, and you got your pension. And then if he works for the city, forget it, you're good because you're going to be getting that money when you get that divorce. You know, like, and then men get mad because they're like, oh, I'm not even with her no more and I'm still paying her. Like, that's stressful. You know, that's really stressful. I just feel like I understand why some people don't want to have to deal with that possible situation. I can understand it. Whereas before, I felt like if you get married, it has to be by law, it has to be legal, it has to be on paper because that's the only way God will deem it acceptable and approved. Now I think that that's stupid. There was no bylaw, you know, back in the day. So like, I just I don't believe in that whole thing that that's a sin. That's just me. That's just me. I'm not saying I'm right. I feel like people are gonna probably like try to fight me in the DMs. I am not saying I am right. I am just saying that that is what I think and that is how I feel. You could take it or leave it. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel and think the same because I've spoken to people who said the same thing and I'm just like, oh, snap for real. You know, so but yeah, I think we all have a choice. And I think that if you don't want to make it legal for whatever reasons, as long as you and your partner have that agreement, you can get it notarized. You can still get a ring. You can still put the title, but the government just doesn't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't have it on paper. You don't have that, and that's fine. I mean, there are so many people building businesses right now, you know, men and women. You get yourself a woman who has her own money, she got her own bag, she has her own business going. You have yours. You guys want to go ahead and do your own way of exchanging vows and rings and saying, this is my promise to you, then go ahead, do it the way you want to do it. But if you decide, you know what, we're growing apart, like we're not gonna suffer and waste our life just in toxicity when we know that we're no good for each other, let's just cut it off. You cut it off and it's free. I mean, it just makes logical sense. It makes logical sense because listen, it goes more deeper than just, and I don't mean to drag this, but this is semi important. It goes way deeper than just money, you know, a money issue of splitting money and all of that and kids and talk about kids, you know, pets, assets, whatever, everything. It goes deeper than that. You know, it's when you decide that you don't want to be with this person anymore, it's almost like because it's legal, it almost feels like it's legally like a legal binding. It's like and then if you're a Christian, it's like, if I do this, this is going to be the worst thing in the world. That's how you think when you're a Christian. Like, they say all sins the same, but divorce is like the ultimate. It's like, if I do this, right next to murder, right next to there, so, but then as a non-Christian, you're like, you think more logical. You think more like, it's not working. It's not working. And then that leads into my next point of it, which some people will probably be like, oh, well, then what's the point of getting married if you're going to be okay with getting divorced? Well, here's what I say. We get to say our own vows, right? No one tells us what vows to say. We can either like recite one we come off top that we come off top of our head or say the traditional ones, but we get to say our own vows. So who says that you can't just add in your vows, you know, although I cannot guarantee that this is going to be perfect and we're going to last perfect, but my hope and prayer is that we do. And I do promise and guarantee you that I am going to make sure that I spend every day of my life trying my hardest to keep you with me happy and to keep this relationship so that we can continue to grow. Boom. That's it. Watch how great that relationship ends up. I bet you that if people were to get married without the whole legal thing, it would make a difference. Because when people get married by law, right? Like, this is just my opinion. When people get married legally, like by law, and they decide they don't want to be together, do you know how many people stay together just because they have kids, just because they have things that they're sharing, they have the dogs, they have off, but they have everything. They have the dogs, they have the cats, they got the kids, they got the house, they got the vacation home, they got the business. You got so many things together. So who wants to go through that? You know what I'm saying? Who wants to actually sit there and be like, oh, and then you got to pay for the divorce, and then if you got to get an attorney, freaking crap. People pay a lot of money for divorce, and they pay a hell of a lot of money just to get married when they want to have a wedding. It's overwhelming. So if you could just cut out that whole part right there, cut out the middleman and just kind of do it yourself. We do it in everything else. That's just my opinion. But anyway, I went on way too long with that. But that is how I feel. Now, I am not saying that I think it's wrong if you want to get married and you want to do it legally, or if you want to do vows where you promise and guaranteed no matter what you'll be there for them. I think that that's fine. However, if you're going to do that, I have one suggestion. Number one, make sure that you have chosen the partner that you've chosen consciously. Make sure it's a conscious decision. It's not just, oh, he's spiritual and I'm spiritual. No. He's Christian and I'm Christian. No. Is this going to work? If you really want to make sure that this is not going to end, make sure it's going to work before you start it so you don't have an ending. That's all I'm saying. Because too many people get married to people under the circumstances of what they are in right now. You have to understand that our life, we have different chapters, we have different journeys, we have different steps that we take in our life. Each step is a different growth. Who you are today is not who you're going to be in 5, 10, 15, or 20 years from now. You're going to be a totally different person with totally different thinking. You're going to, certain things you might have thought you won't think anymore. And then certain things that you think now, like vice versa, whatever, you're going to be a whole different person. I'm telling you this from experience. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are listening who are, in your 30s or your 40s or over, I'm sure you understand exactly what I'm talking about. It's very different being in your 20s and getting married at 23 compared to when you're 35 and you're like, oh crap, I think I know myself now. Totally different. So my whole thing is that I feel like if you're going to get married with the intentions of thick and thin, no matter what you do to me, as long as you don't hit me or cheat on me, I'm gonna stay no matter what. So if you have a porn addiction, I don't care. We're gonna work it out. If you talk to me real disrespectful, you never hit me, you haven't found out you cheated on me, but you're real disrespectful, you treat me like crap, I'm super depressed, that's all right. we'll work it on out. You know, like no matter what. And what happens? People end up in these marriages where they're just so damn miserable to a point where they get so used to the person that they're like, you know what? I may as well stay. I mean, our kids are like in their 40s now. What are we gonna do? Like split ways now? Like I'm gonna go out there and date? You know, like no, I may as well stay. And that's what happens. And that sucks. And I don't want to do that. So, that's how I feel about it. I feel like it's different in that aspect where now I believe it should be more so based on you have to pick, like I said before, the right person. You know, try your hardest to pick the right person because too many people rush into relationships. And make sure you build something. Take your time building. Do not try to force. This has to be a whole nother video because I have so many things I could say for people who knew like newlyweds or people who are thinking about getting married. Let me know in the comment section if you want that video because like honestly, when you get married, you learn a lot about yourself and that person learns a lot about themselves. And you don't people only pay attention to the fun part, like the wedding and the reception, all the flowers and the flower girl and the photographer and all this other crap that you spend a whole lot of money on. No offense, but you know, I'm just saying. People pay attention to that. It's beautiful. That's great. That's amazing. But guess what? That's your wedding day. That is not the marriage. Like when you get married and you start hitting those bumps, and you will because everybody does, but most likely everybody does. But it's normal because you're learning this person. It's just like in any relationship. But marriage is meant to keep you in it. Now, if it gets to a point where you realize we are no longer the same person anymore, like you and I do not make sense. Either we've never made sense or we're just not making sense anymore. I'm a whole different person. I'm on a different path. You're a different person. You're on a different path. Then we just have to split ways. And when it comes to me being in spirituality now, opposed to how I felt when I was in Christianity, where I had to force it, now I see it as this is our journeys. We did not come into this world together. Yes, we got married, but we did not come into this world together. We do not have to go out together. And I believe that when two people cannot coexist any longer and it's toxic, it's time to go because you cannot heal and you cannot grow where you're hurting. If it's not getting fixed, it's not getting worked out, and you tried, and you may have tried for years, you may have went to counseling, and it just doesn't work, and the love isn't there anymore. It's like, what am I holding on to? Because at one point I was holding on to a rope and then became a thread and now it's invisible and I just got my arm up in the air. Like I'm not holding nothing at this point. We're just existing together, but really we can't. When it gets to that point for a person, for a couple, I feel like that's when it's time to really reevaluate if you should continue in this relationship, just because of the simple fact that you're going to spend the rest of your life like this. And you're going to limit yourself on all the things that you could be doing, excelling in your life. We're not meant to just come into this world and become husbands and wives and pay freaking bills. No, the hell we're not. That's what society and the media has taught us. That's bullcrap. We are here for an experience. So many people become really limited in their experiences because of the relationship they're in, because of the partner they have with them in their life, whether it's boyfriend and girlfriend or husband and wife. And so you may sacrifice a lot of things for your relationship when it's really not worth it because it's so damaged. Sometimes things have got to break down in order for you to rebuild. Maybe sometimes you have to split ways and just take a break and come back together again. I feel that if that's a situation, then I feel like you would know, you know, and me being like spiritual now, I see everything as a journey because it only makes sense. We go through different things in life, and what does it do? It builds us up, it builds our character, it teaches us, it molds us, it it shows us what we can do, like our capabilities, right? So is that not a journey? You know, this is not just a straight line. It's a journey. You go through different lessons and you learn different things. And I believe that we cannot limit ourselves as to who we learn our lessons from. Because if you've learned your lesson in the relationship, it's time for you to move out of that relationship. Because usually what happens when you've learned the lesson you needed in that relationship dies. Or when you may be coming close to learning it. Sometimes people don't learn. They just die and they just go into another relationship that's the same. But let's say that you've learned lessons and you're like, you know what? I know what I want. I know what I don't want. I've learned what I needed to learn, and it's time for me to grow and to heal, and I need to do that on my own. I cannot do that being in this relationship. I don't see anything wrong with that, and I know that in Christianity that is considered a sin. But when you are not a Christian anymore, you don't consider that a sin because you start to see it in a more deeper way compared to, well, the Bible says I can't do this, and I have to obey God's commands. You know, it's a difference between what you're feeling when you're like, you know what, I feel that this is a journey, and I feel that I met you for a purpose and for a reason. I've learned my lessons. You've helped me in my healing. But now I see that I've grown and you've grown, and we're not going in the same direction. And we cannot force ourselves to go in the same direction because we are not meant to go in the same direction. Because if we were, it would happen naturally. But it's not. So why would we force it to happen when it's not meant to be? And when that happens, I don't see it as being any kind of a sin. And so I understand that Christians or anyone who's in religion will probably think like I'm just saying taboo at this point. But I know that people who, you know, who are listening, who believe in spirituality, definitely can kind of understand a little bit. You don't have to agree with everything I'm saying. It's just my opinion, you know, but there is a difference. There is a difference between how you feel and what you read in the Bible. And I'm not at all trying to be like demeaning or belittle anyone who is a part of Christianity or anything like that. I don't want to be rude. This is just, like I said, my opinion. And on this channel, I do state my opinion and I never label it as facts. Like I said, my opinion. And I stand pretty strong by it, but I also understand and respect that everybody else has their own opinions. I'm always going to come humble. I'm not going to ever come here like, oh, this is what I think about it. You know, I'm not going to do that. But I am going to always be honest with you. So that's pretty much it for me with this video. Sorry it was so long. Let me know if you guys prefer them shorter or if the lengthy ones are cool. And then from there, I'll decide. But if you guys did enjoy this video, let me know. Give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, as a matter of fact. If you're married or if you're in a committed relationship, let me know what your opinion is. Do you plan to get married? Are you getting ready to get married? You know, let me know what your thoughts are on this topic because I'm real interested in stuff like this. I think it's really cool.